high school. Am I right? So many emotions, so little time. And if you went to high school when I did, you probably wore your backpack down to your thighs, and I actually still have marks from it. I mean, textbooks were like a jillion pounds. Anyways, I digress. Everyone has or will, quote, come of age. So a well-done coming-of-age story always hits pretty close to home, and there's some really good ones. So get out your yearbooks and take a look at, all the drawings you made over old what's-his-name and what's-her-face, while we bring you the best high school movies, all ranked by Tomato Meter, right now on Rotten Tomatoes Countdown. Starting off with one of my favorites, number 10, Carrie. This horror flick was actually released in 1976, and not only is it the first ever Stephen King book adaptation, it was his first published novel. And as I'm sure you know, there's been over 100 TV and movie adaptations of his work since, so not a bad way to set the tone. Sissy Spacek stars as Carrie, a withdrawn and sensitive 16-year-old who's bullied at school and abused by her mother at home. She begins to suspect that she has supernatural powers, which isn't a good sign for her classmates that invited her to prom and then played a huge prank on her. Setting up one of the most memorable scenes in movie history, you know the one. I mean, that was basically my reaction when the guy I wanted to go to prom with went with someone else. How dare he? Sissy actually ended up picking up a Best Actress Oscar nomination for her performance, while Piper Laurie, who played her mom, was nominated for Supporting Actress. And not only has the prom scene been singled out as one of the scariest movie moments ever, coming in at number 8 during a 2004 Bravo special, it's even mentioned in the critics' consensus for this certified fresh classic, which says, quote, Carrie is a horrifying look at supernatural powers, high school cruelty, and teen angst. And it brings us one of the most memorable and disturbing prom scenes in history. Number 9, Back to the Future. It actually wasn't easy for director Robert Zemeckis and screenwriter Bob Gale to get this idea sold in Hollywood, which is crazy to think about considering it is literally at the top of most people's favorite movie list of all time. It actually took one of the faces on the Mount Rushmore of cinema, Steven Spielberg, agreeing to produce it under his newly formed Amblin Entertainment to seal the deal. I mean, what would our American cinematic history even be without that man? I don't want to think about it. So in the movie, Michael J. Fox plays high schooler Marty McFly, living his best life in 1985 until he's accidentally sent back to 1955 in a time machine created by his scientist friend Emmett Doc Brown, where he kind of sort of has a crush on his mom. It's weird, but stick with me here. I mean, who knew all you needed was a flux capacitor, some plutonium, and 88 miles per hour? Believe it or not, while Fox was the first choice for Marty, he actually wasn't available, and Eric Stoltz was cast and even filmed some stuff. Eventually, Robert Zemeckis realized that Eric wasn't right and fought harder to get Michael J. Fox, who was popular on the show Family Ties at the time. The result is a movie that is widely considered, like I said, one of the best of all time, becoming the highest grossing film of 1985 worldwide and winning a handful of awards. Number 8, Juno. This 2007 coming-of-age dramedy stars Elliot Page as the title character, a teenager dealing with an unplanned pregnancy with her boyfriend, played by Michael Cera. The stellar cast also includes folks like Jason Bateman, Jennifer Garner, Allison Janney, J.K. Simmons, and of course, Rainn Wilson as a convenience store clerk. Juno was directed by Jason Reitman, son of Ivan, and written by Diablo Cody, who based much of it on her own high school experiences and those close to her. And BT dubbed, she actually wrote it while sitting in a Target Starbucks in Minnesota. I mean, how she managed to stay out of the dollar spot is beyond me. And sure enough, the Target Starbucks field script actually won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, while the film got nominations for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress for Paige, who was presenting as female at the time. Number 7, The Edge of 17. This 2016 dramedy stars Haley Steinfeld as a high school junior already in the throes of awkwardness, as we all know, whose older brother starts dating her best friend. Yikes, this is literally my worst nightmare. Luckily, she strikes up a friendship with a nice guy played by Hayden Szeto, and while things are still awkward with him, it's actually more in the good kind of way. The film was written and directed by Kelly Fremont Craig in her directorial debut, and it also features names like Woody Harrelson, Keira Sedgwick, and Haley Lou Richardson, who, I just love in The White Lotus Season 2. And if you're looking for a feel-good story behind the story, Craig actually sent a copy of her script to legendary producer James L. Brooks on a whim, and he ended up taking on the project. Anyways, The Edge of 17 became a film festival darling for the year, and it actually still holds a strong 83% audience score for over 25,000 ratings. Number 6, American Graffiti. Before he got busy making some random space western thing, director George Lucas actually got behind the camera for this coming-of-age dramedy, which was produced by Francis Ford Coppola. The script was co-written by George as well, who used his early 1960s high school experiences cruising around Modesto, California as inspiration. The movie stars Hollywood stalwarts like Richard Dreyfuss and Ron Howard, and it even features one of Harrison Ford's first major film appearances. I wonder if he and George ever ended up working together again. American Graffiti was a huge, ginormous hit, earning an Oscar nom for Best Picture. Plus, after it was produced for just under $800,000, it has become one of the most profitable films ever between box office and home video returns. Plus, it holds an important place in cinematic history, as the critics' consensus so rightfully points out, calling it one of the most influential of all teen films, as a bittersweet look at a group of recent high school grads' last days of innocence. And look at that, my friends, we are halfway there. All right, well, now is absolutely no time for senioritis because we've got 5 more to go, so let's do this. Number 5, Booksmart. This 2019 film stars Caitlin Dever and Beanie Feldstein as 2 high school academic superstars trying to cram 4 years of fun into one night before graduating. Now, the film immediately takes you to a high school experience that is just truly all too familiar. Yet you also just kind of want to go there too, thanks to a stellar supporting cast that includes Jessica Williams, who we love on Shrinking, and Jason Sudeikis. This actually marked the directorial debut of Olivia Wilde, who picked up the Independent Spirit Award for Best First Feature. Meanwhile, Beanie Feldstein actually picked up a Golden Globe nomination for her performance. Number 4, Hairspray. This 1988 film was a bit of a departure for writer-director John Waters, considering that most of his earlier movies were actually rated X. Aiming for a broader audience with a PG rating, Hairspray is set in 1962 Baltimore, where a high schooler played by Ricky Lake rallies against segregation and seeks fame as a self-proclaimed pleasantly plump dancer on a local TV show. Despite 6 Independent Spirit Award nominations and consideration for the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance, its initial run in theaters actually didn't do much. However, as you may already know, the movie became a cult classic thanks to the home video era in the early 90s. Number 3, Say Anything. This 1989 teen rom-com was written and directed by Cameron Crowe in his feature directorial debut. It stars John Cusack as an average student who has a romance with the class valedictorian played by Ione Skye. And if I can say anything about this film, I'm so clever, it's that it has one of the most famous and culturally significant scenes in US movie history. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. You know which scene I'm talking about. The giant boombox, Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes, and a guy who's got good endurance in his arm muscles. I mean, I would have been so tired holding this thing up. This iconic scene is my actual dream wedding proposal. Fun fact, Crowe and producer James L. Brooks knew that this scene would be iconic and originally had a different song in mind, Fishbone's Question of Life, but Crowe later opted for Gabriel's track to better fit the mood. Number 2, Lady Bird. This film stars Saoirse Ronan as a high school senior dealing with an eventful final year in school and also a loving but complicated relationship with her mom, played by Laurie Metcalf. The movie was written and directed by the Greta Gerwig in her solo directorial debut, and it ultimately put her on the filmmaking map with Oscar nominations for Best Picture, Directing, and Screenplay, but I gotta say, not surprised. Now, Gerwig gave the cast and crew her old high school yearbooks, photos, journals, and she even took them on a tour of her hometown of Sacramento in preparation for the film. Meanwhile, Saoirse actually dyed her hair red for the role and didn't wear makeup to cover up her acne in an attempt to, quote, actually look like a teenager's face in real life. And get this, the Irish actress also used memories of watching Saved by the Bell as a young girl to draw inspiration from for her American high school scenes. Okay, my friends, finally, number 1, The Last Picture Show. This 100% certified fresh drama from 1971 stars Timothy Bottoms and Jeff Bridges as high school seniors in a 1950s Texas town. The two are contemplating their very different futures, while one is having an affair with the coach's wife and the other is dating a local beauty played by Sybil Shepherd. The film was directed and co-written by Peter Bogdanovich and adapted from the semi-autobiographical 1966 novel of the same name by Larry McMurtry. It was actually a house guest of Peter's at the time, one Orson Welles, who reinforced the idea of shooting this movie in black and white, which wasn't super common at that point in the 70s. Another unique feature was the diegetic music, meaning it was all part of the actual scenes and the actors were aware, with Hank Williams Jr. being one of the main voices heard. And it all added up to a huge success, both at the box office and at the Oscars, where it earned 8 nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director, while Ben Johnson and Cloris Leachman both won Best Supporting Actor awards. Plus, it was ranked as one of the top 20 best high school movies ever by Entertainment Weekly in 2008, the year I graduated high school. All right, my friends, there you have it from an official prom queen herself. Truly, it was all downhill from there for me. But for more on all these movies that we discussed today, be sure to hit up RottenTomatoes.com. Thank you so much for checking out today's list. Until next time, I'm your prom queen and host, Naz Perez. We'll see you back here for more Rotten Tomatoes Countdown.